In this video, we'll prepare a cash lineup on the main slate for both DraftKings and FanDuel for Week 11, and it's coming up next. Hello, everyone. I'm Eric Lay.
And I'm Michael Wiley, and we're the Fantasy Football Consultants. Eric, you survived a week without me. I was on vacation doing some work out of the area. So how did it go?
Well. It was tough being a solo act, but let's say, look, the FanDuel lineup was a dumpster fire. Thank you, Tony Pollard. Thank you, Travis Etienne, for nothing, literally nothing. But DraftKings was really good. Thanks very much to Noah Brown, Trey McBride, Amon St. Brown. So mixed bag, Michael. But you know who was good in both lineups? Some guy named Geno Smith. Guy that you never let me start, but since you weren't here, I snuck him in the lineup. Anyways, all right, so we need to give a big thank you to DFS Hub, who's been hosting the contest for 10 straight weeks. Tell us, what were the results in week 10?
Well, Eric, it looks like a couple people took some of your suggestions. They a lot of McBrides in there, a little bit of St. Brown, and obviously both Browns. You had to get St. Brown in there for sure. So I think another successful week. I even took a little page out of some of the things you did, upgraded, of course, a little bit.
Yeah.
So
Congratulations. Look at you at number 5. I'm embarrassed to say I did not submit a lineup this week. I had a lot of things going on. I don't know, producing 2 shows without you, or 1 show without you. But anyways, I again want to thank DFS Hub. This is the 10th straight week. They've given away almost $2,000 in prize money. I think our community, to the extent we can, which, by the way, I think greatly benefited, because I think a lot of the winners, came out of FFC. Don't forget to patronize them. Check out their site. That is dfshub.com/FFC if you want to support our channel. For the affiliate link, there's a free option and a paid option. They're going to switch. They're going to continue to do this contest, I believe, for the rest of this year. But starting week 11, they're going to be offering free membership to their pro account, which has all the bells and whistles for the top 3 finishers, as opposed to cash prizes. If they can get a sponsor, there may be some weeks in the future which will be cash prize. But again, shout out to Rob and his crew at DFS Hub for running a great contest. Michael, I just want to tell our viewers and a highlight to them to a recent comment that we got about the fact that there is a viewer who is a subscriber who says our videos no longer appear on their feed. And here's our suggestion. Make sure that you get in the habit of liking each of our videos. Look, it does help us, for sure, but it also helps you as the viewer, because our videos are going to be more likely to come up to the extent that you've liked previous videos. And of course, in addition to liking the video, if you haven't yet, hit the red subscriber button, and the bell icon will actually tell you when we post a video. All right, let's get to week 11. You guys know how we do it here. We provide a cash lineup in DraftKings and in FanDuel, but we highlight who are core players that we like on both sites as we build our lineup. There are, count them, 5 of them this week. I will start off with running back, and Mike, I'll save us a little money with Brian Robinson. Look, here is a fact with Brian Robinson. I am a fantasy owner of his. He always does better when Washington plays from ahead. Gibson will come in the game more when they're playing from way behind. Well, no better scenario than this week. Washington is a home favorite, 10-point favorites. They're never 10-point favorites against the college team level New York Giants. Is that being mean to some college teams? This New York Giant team does not have a defense. One of the weaker rush defenses. they don't have an offense because they don't have a quarterback. They don't have a tight end in Darren Waller. They have the league's worst offensive line, allowing the most sacks. In other words, they're going to continue to not be able to sustain drives, give the ball back to Washington, and I think Robinson is going to be a very big part of their attack. Sam Howell has been spreading the wealth around, even getting Robinson in the passing game. Last week, 6 receptions. We love that, especially on DraftKings.
Yeah, no, I'm with you on that one. Gotta take advantage of that price tag. Didn't want you to have to introduce this one because it didn't work out for you last week, but that's going to be a little bit of a different story this week because I don't think Jacksonville is going to be playing from behind. It's Travis Etienne at 8,300 on FanDuel and 7,200 on DraftKings. Let's face it, like Jacksonville, as they performed pretty well, save this last week, they have relied heavily on Travis Etienne. He has been a big part of their offense in their wins. Tennessee, on paper looks a little bit tough on the run, but not necessarily tough on running backs. They're 16th in the league against the running backs. Etienne gets 20 to 30 touches a game in the games where they are winning. And that's what we're going to see here. They're favorites. They should be favorites. They're at home. Travis Etienne is going to be a big part of them bouncing back from a really tough loss against the San Francisco 49ers.
Michael, you spent a little more money than I did, but don't worry. I'm going to spend much more than you did to get the star of our lineup, Tyreek Hill, $9,300 on DraftKings and $9,800 on FanDuel, but he is well worth it. He is coming off a bye, he and his Miami team. And no offense, Michael, I think they're going to feast on your Las Vegas Raiders. Of all the games this week, not just on the main slate, Miami has the highest implied total of 29. So we wanted to get some exposure in this game. The first thought is maybe their running back, Raheem Mostert, but A-Chain is coming back this week. So I think that you're going to see a split duties there. So why not just get the best wide receiver in football in the lineup? And I mean that. He has been the best wide receiver. Third this year in receptions. Second in targets. First in receiving yards and first in receiving TDs, all per game stats. This guy's not over the hill. He is the hill, Tyreek Hill.
Yeah, no, we got to get guys like this in our lineup that have not only a great floor, but a ton of upside. You're breaking the bank a little bit. I'm going to save us some money at the wide receiver position and go right back to Noah Brown again. He is 6,100 on FanDuel and 4,800 on DraftKings. Nice little bargain there. Going up against Arizona. Houston is at home in this game, and they are 26th. Arizona has been 20th against wide receivers this season. And if you watch that, the ending of that Houston Bengals game, Noah Brown almost was individually responsible for the, closing out the game at the end with that nice field goal. He just was a beast. I think they're going to reward him for that. You might say, Collins is going to be back this week, but I don't think that means that Brown's going to be out. I think he's still right there. These 3 star receivers are all going to get plenty of touches. And at this price, let's get this beast in our lineup. He was 8 for 172 yards this last week. Nice little bargain.
What's encouraging is it looks like he has passed Robert Woods in the wide receiver pecking order on Houston. So he'll be in an all wide receiver 3 sets. So love this pick if Collins is out. There's no guarantee he'll play, but if he does play, I say we like this pick. All right. Love the game script as well. 47.5 over under could very much be a shootout. And because we think this is a game as a shootout, let's get somebody on the other side in Kyler Murray at quarterback. He's back at $6,100 on DraftKings and $7,600 on FanDuel. He came off IR last week. Michael, he looked pretty good. He missed some throws. He's a little rusty, but his legs look great. I always think when I watch Kyler Murray play, it's like a little video game. And he's on turbocharge and how well he moves in the pocket, both keeping plays alive by evading rushes and then actually taking off and getting rushing yards, which is obviously so important in daily fantasy. He's helped. The whole offense is helped by the fact that James Conner is back. He's got Hollywood Brown and Rondell Moore to throw to. Trey McBride has just stepped in right where Zach Ertz has left off. I mean, go back in the day, you would kill for prices for Kyler Murray like this. It just hasn't caught up to the fact that he's been back. Let's take advantage.
Yeah, especially going up against a Houston team who's now putting points on the board and a little bit leaky on the defensive side. I think we really like this game for the over, which will benefit both of these plays. So, Eric, should we look at the rest of our FanDuel lineup?
All right, we'll start with FanDuel and complete this cash lineup. All right, Michael, we did spend some money, mostly me with Hill, but ETN wasn't cheap. So 21,000 total left to spend, a little over 5,000. So we got to be cost conscious. And my next two picks at wide receiver and tight end are definitely guys I think that are real bargains. A difference maker in opening up opportunities is our number 3 wide receiver at only $4,900. I referenced him earlier, Rondell Moore. This guy is I'm shocked he is so cheap. Now let's be clear. He's the second wide receiver behind Hollywood Brown, even though he outdid Brown in Murray's debut. Love the fact again of this game script that we're talking about. 24th ranked pass defense. So we'll get Rondell Moore in the lineup for $4,900 and also at a reasonable price at tight end. $5,800 is Dalton Kincaid. He kind of ticks off a lot of the boxes you want as a tight end. He is a home favorite, 6.5 point favorite, pretty good implied total of 23 versus a New York Jet defense that does well against the pass, but doesn't do well against tight ends. 23rd. So look how heavily targeted Dalton Kincaid has been in the last 4 weeks. I mean, it's obviously that this rookie has really ingratiated himself and developed a real role in this Buffalo offense. What do you think about those two guys, Michael?
Yeah, with Dawson Knox out, Dalton Kincaid, who we all knew would do well in the NFL in any event, and we thought might surpass Knox, with even Knox there. He has, with Josh Allen, despite some of the struggles this last week, he's very tight end reliant. And so, like you say, the Jets are tough against the wide receivers, and so Dalton Kincaid will benefit from that. And yeah, like the Moore pick, we had to save some money. And I think that's the route to go is with Moore. So I know we don't have much left for defense, but what do you want to do there?
Well, I'm going to kick it. Let's leave defense for last because I have a rant for defense. Let's go to the flex spot. The last flex spot is I'm going to stay in that same game. Remember, we talked about the Jets are really good against the pass, specifically to wide receivers. Not as good with tight ends, why we have Kincaid, and not good against running backs. So let's get at 6,200. Let's get James Cooks in the lineup. I already told you that it's a great game environment. They are 31st against the run. There's only 32 teams in the NFL. Now, look, let's get it clear. He is the lead back on Buffalo. He will cede about a third of the carries, running back carries, to Latavius Murray. And, of course, Josh Allen is always a threat to steal some carries, especially some goal line carries. But given the game environment and given the opponent and given his price, I like James Cook in this lineup. And finally, we have $4,100. Now, another thing, Michael, I did in your absence, I went nuts and picked the Cowboys. and didn't pay off for me. Spent a lot of money on a defense, but I don't have to go dirt cheap. I am going to go with a defense that is unreal how cheap it is. At $4,000, let's get the San Francisco 49ers. Can you please contact FanDuel and explain to me how there are 10 teams on the main slate that have the same price or more expensive than the San Francisco 49ers this week? They are at home. They are favored by 10 points. They play a Tampa Bay team that is not effective on the ground, so they're going to have to throw the ball. And they're going to have to throw the ball with Baker Mayfield against this San Francisco defense, which has already been outstanding with all their weapons on the defensive side that just added Chase Young to the team. So give me the Niners at $4,000.
All right. Yeah. So I can't believe we can get them there at that price. You saw what they did. Their price tag was kind of low last week as well against Jacksonville. They look solid with both those defensive ends. They fixed a few things during the bye week as well, which was huge. And yeah, James Cook, if you saw, beginning of that game, he got stripped a fumble, and I think it kind of lit a fire underneath him. Unfortunately, they couldn't take advantage of that fire, even though he averaged almost 10 yards a carry. I'd like to see him get involved in the passing game a little bit more, but like him at this price tag, like this lineup.
All right, let's move over to DraftKings.
Okay, Eric, let's get going here. Back on DraftKings, we got our first 5 guys in the lineup. It only leaves us $16,800 in remaining salary, $4,200 a player. So we need to save money. Definitely at the defensive spot and at the wide receiver position as well. So we're going to do that by going with a guy who has become the number 2 and has a nice matchup from a defensive perspective going up against Jacksonville. It's Kyle Phillips at only $3,000 going up against the 30th ranked pass defense of the Jacksonville Jaguars in Jacksonville. Tennessee's probably going to be coming from behind in this game again. Not good for you, Derrick Henry owners. Sorry. But Kyle Phillips has been the beneficiary last couple weeks of being the new number 2 of Levis. And so at this price tag, it just allows us to beef up in a couple of the other positions. But I feel really good about our other 2 folks at their prices. At the tight end position, we already talked about him a little bit because we talked a lot about this game. This is that Arizona game, trying to come back against Houston. It's Trey McBride, who really has been a huge beneficiary of the unfortunate injury to Zach Ertz. Not only has he picked up where he left off, he's actually gone further. He's averaging almost 10 targets a game over the last 3 games since Ertz went down. And the Kyler Murray impact was not a negative one. His best performance yet was this last week. And I think that's a big part of that is having Kyler Murray healthy. So would like to see him continue. $4,400 going up against a Houston defense who is probably going to be defending against the pass for the big part of the game, given how they've been playing of late. So, Eric, how do you feel about these 2 picks before we finish up?
I love the Trey McBride pick. You didn't sell it enough, in my opinion. I mean, you have to discount week 9 because he had Clayton Tune as his quarterback, and they didn't move the ball at all, and that wasn't his fault. And you have to discount every game before week 8 when Zach Ertz was healthy. He's the tight end now, and it's 2 for 2 for just ridiculously good games, and his salary is nowhere near caught up with it. So I love the $4,400 price for Trey McBride. Honestly, probably one of my favorite picks on this entire DraftKings lineup. Now, I have to go back. I don't know if it was my conscience or subliminal. I didn't put in Kyle Phillips in the lineup. So let's go back and get him in the lineup. Look, the key is Treylon Burks, right? We need to make sure that Treylon Burks, who I believe is in concussion protocol, is not going to play this game. Because if he does, he is going to be, he being Phillips, will be coming off the bench, and I have no interest in him. If you might even have concerns with Phillips even with that. So here's a potential pivot for you guys. If you are not feeling Phillips, or especially if Treylon Burks is playing, at only $300 more, it's a guy I talked about in the FanDuel lineup. It's Rondale Moore. He's an absolute starter on the Cardinals. And no, he's one of the guys that most benefits from getting a competent quarterback. And not that Joshua Dobbs is not competent, but for wide receivers, for a quarterback that's going to be comfortable throwing the ball down the field like Kyler Murray does. So like those options, Michael. But for now, let's keep Phillips in the lineup. But please watch the news on Treylon Burks. And, of course, watch the news on Noah Brown to make sure he did not practice today, which is Wednesday, due to a knee injury. It appears, as of now, he will be playing, but just watch the news.
Well, with that savings and the savings that we're going to, as we typically do at the defensive spot, going to do with defense, it allows for us to get a running back who is a big part of the passing game, really, become not just the number one, but the key guy in New York. It's Breece Hall. He has been a big part of this offense. The passing game, if you look at what he's done the last several weeks, he's been in one of the top targets and starting to rack up the yards on the passing side of the ball. He's just so dynamic, such a game breaker. And Buffalo has been, they have been prone to let running backs, rack up some points against them. There's going to be a tight game. Look what he did against Buffalo first week of the season. Had obviously a really long rush against them. I think Breece Hall is the key to the Jets winning. And right now they're in the driver's seat against Buffalo. If they win this game and they get Aaron Rodgers back, I know that's still a big if. They still have a chance in this really challenging AFC because they have a little bit of an easier schedule than some of the other teams. Buffalo has such a tough schedule. I just think it's going to be really hard for them at this point to make the playoffs. And I think the Breece Hall is the key for the Jets to do so. When they get him involved in the game, they win the games, and that's what needs to happen here. Eric, obviously, decent sized price tag at $6,400. It only leaves us $3,000. So what are our options? Well, we got the Texans. We have a few options. We could pay down. And like that Rondale Moore pick would make us probably need to go someone like the Jets, who've done pretty well scoring fantasy points, but they have a tough matchup against Buffalo. I really like the Houston pick this week, going up against an Arizona offense that has given up points. And Kyler Murray, yes, he's going to benefit the Arizona in terms of offensive yardage, but he also is prone to giving up the ball. He's not afraid to throw the ball downfield and take some risk, which could result in some interceptions. And he can take his time. He tries to, open up the passing game with his legs, which sometimes yields some more sacks and even some fumbles. And so like the game script here for Houston to have a nice defensive week. So that would be the pick that I think we should go with if we stick with Phillips as our wide receiver. If we go with Moore, then I think we dip down to the Jets. Eric, what do you think?
Yeah, always like getting a home favorite defense there that has been getting a lot of sacks in recent games. I am intrigued by Washington, not because they have a great defense. They don't, especially after losing their two defensive linemen, but they play high school caliber, the New York Giant offense. So if you can get up and afford the Commanders, I'm okay with that. But the pivot that I really want to talk about actually saves us some money at quarterback. So I have no problem with Kyler Murray. We have him in our FanDuel lineup, and that is great. But just to give you another option, especially if you want to save money, and another option if you need to go from Phillips to Moore and not adjust your defense, then take a look at Brock Purdy at $5,800. You save the $300, exactly what you need to go from Phillips to Rondale Moore. And I love home favorite, 10.5 point favorite, ridiculously high, 27 implied total. And he has all his weapons available to him this game. Brandon Ayuk, Deebo Samuel, George Kittle has been playing well again. And of course, Christian McCaffrey out of the backfield can get a lot of, from a quarterback standpoint, cheap yardage for you. Short dump off and he runs it for 70 yards. So I just don't see a scenario where they don't put up a lot of points on Tampa Bay, which, by the way, does a much better job against the rush than the pass. I just don't see them not putting up points. And if they put up points, I don't see it not being heavily involved in the passing game.
Yeah, no, I like it. I like that pivot a lot.
All right. Well, in our 18-hole golf course, which is the NFL season, we have completed 11. We are firmly in the back nine. We have a lot to be thankful for next week because it's Thanksgiving week. So we hope everybody has a great Thanksgiving week. We will talk to you next week. We will be on duty. And until then, take care, everybody.
Bye-bye.
We'll put 2 videos on the screen that we think you'll enjoy.